What's up, guys? It's Panic Knife here with theawfulgamer.com, and today I'm going to be walking you through Nightmare de Nova, Firebrand, and Stormcaller on Star Wars: The Old Republic. So the main differences between this one and hard mode is that, first of all, you can only take one double destruction per shield phase because the debuff lasts a little longer, which means that the two players that get it, if they get it twice, it's going to one-shot them. And since the enrage timer is really tight, it's at 6 minutes and 20 seconds, and damage is obviously, the HP has obviously gone up, damage has obviously gone up. So if you have somebody go down in the fight, you're pretty much screwed. It's pretty much it's a theme throughout Nightmare de Nova that everything's just more unforgiving, and that's pretty much true with this fight as well. The way we did it is that we had one DPS that happened to be on Stormcaller at the time. We have him attacking Firebrand. So there's only one DPS player on Stormcaller and 3 on Firebrand to make sure that you only get one double destruction per phase, because obviously if you got 2 double destructions, you're screwed. Now the other big difference here is that when you go into the shield phase here, the defensive systems, one of the ads has a bomb on him. It's like a little bit of a thing in his debuff bar that looks like an explosion. You have to knock him out of the shield or else he'll blow up the shield, damage your party, and make it almost impossible for your healer to keep up with you. The other big difference is that incinerate armor, you're not going to be able to shroud through it. You're not going to be able to pop cooldowns and survive if you get it as the tank. You're pretty much screwed because it now does double damage as well. And basically those are the big differences. The fact that the enrage timer is so tight, the double destruction phases come quicker and you can't get to, and the ads there. So it may sound like this is not, you can deal with those changes, no big deal. Well, my party is almost all 63 geared out, and we barely made enrage on this thing right here. Basically, you saw me screw up in the first phase there by having to get pulled to the shield by our healer, and he ended up burning through more force than he would have liked. The reason I did that is because I've been dotting Firebrand every time that we have a phase shift. It does a little bit extra DPS, but the thing is, you need every little piece of DPS you can get. And in addition, the tank basically takes so much damage unless your mitigation stats are insanely high as the tank that your healer is going to end up running out of force or resources and stuff like that. So one of the other things we did is during the shield phases, we would make sure that both of the DPS on the Stormcaller side take down the same ad at the same time, and our Sorc healer would CC the other ad. Little strategies like that to optimize, force and heat usage are pretty much going to be, they're going to be godsends in this fight, because otherwise you're going to basically have the toughest time of any fight in the game. Kefis, many people think, is a little bit harder than this, but I honestly think the enrage timer in Firebrand and Stormcaller is a little bit tougher than the one in Kefis. I've never had a group that's cleared Kefis have much of a trouble with the enrage timer, whereas we've come within like 1 or 2 seconds several times, and enraged with 1% to go and stuff like that. And like I said, my group is extremely well geared, so it's not necessarily a matter of us screwing up, us having too much downtime, that sort of thing. It's just a matter of, it's just a really tough fight. A lot of people in hard mode would put a second DPS on the ground and have them, or have a DPS on the ground rather than a healer, and have them kite around the shields and that sort of thing during the defensive or during the active phases. You can't do that anymore. You have to have a healer do it, and you're gonna have to make sure that healer is gonna be able to keep up the tank, and the healer that's on Firebrand is gonna need to be able to keep up the tank, and he's gonna need to be able to cleanse himself and move out of the debuffs. And by the way, the debuffs come a lot quicker in this one. So it's just basically a matter of, this fight is the hard mode fight times 1,000. And you're gonna have to be on top of your game. You're gonna have to be well geared, and there's no real ands, ifs, or buts about it. I mean, if you've got a group that has somebody who has, he's pretty well geared, but he's not augmented, you're screwed. You're not gonna be able to finish it. If you have somebody who's pretty well augmented, their stats are pretty decent, but they're not min-maxed, same thing. You can't really have somebody pulling 1300 DPS and still survive this fight. So what I would recommend is, before you really try to take a group through Nightmare de Nova, you're going to want to have them pretty well experienced with Terra from Beyond Hard Mode, because they're going to need to have a lot of good gear before they can really get this boss fight done. Now, you'll see us screw up several times, and you'll see us go through and have to, you know, to emergency heal, that sort of thing. But for the most part, that's just the fact that our group is so geared out that we're able to survive mistakes like that. The less geared you are, the fewer mistakes you can survive. Now, what you're seeing right here, right now, is how we managed to finish the fight at the end. Obviously, if you have 3 DPS on one side, 1 DPS on the other, you're going to have a big difference in DPS between the 2 bosses. We ended up switching it completely. Our group makeup was having 3 ranged and 1 melee. We had 1 Juggernaut melee. The Juggernaut would stay on Stormcaller at this point, or rather on Firebrand at this point, and the 3 other people would be on Stormcaller to even out the DPS. Basically, the other the tank would go through and during double destruction phases, and this happens after the 4th defensive systems, because there won't be any more defensive systems after that point. Basically, the tank will go through, and on one side he will give the healer and the 1 DPS the double destruction. Then he would go over to the other side and give the other 2 DPS the double destruction. It's basically going back and forth. You don't want this to happen more than 4 times, I think. You need to make sure that you're getting the boss down pretty well. But as you'll see, the 2 bosses go down pretty much at the same time. The only problem is, of course, that somebody dies. And when people start dying is when it really starts to fall apart. Luckily for our party, and you see we just hit Enrage there too, and he's obviously very low, but we even hit Enrage, and we're an extremely well-geared group. But as you'll see, we got the kill, and the only one to die is your boy Panic Knife. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful, and definitely encourage you to keep doing PvE in this game. It's great content. The game is it's a very entertaining game. I think you guys would enjoy it. So let me know if you want to see anything else. I know we have a Vorgath video coming up soon, and that's about it. Anyway, with theawfulgamer.com, this is Panic Knife. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a good night.